in order to create the base for your non-objective design, what we're going to do is work with the same technique that Henri Matisse worked with. As he turned about 70 years old, he lost his eyesight, and so he couldn't paint anymore. So he started painting with paper by cutting it. And you can view more about Henri Matisse by clicking on the button in this section of your website. But this is just to show you how to create your base. So if you need to, you can jump onto the video tutorial information for Henri Matisse to get more information about him. But what we're going to do is we want to try to keep quite a bit of our white paper because that's where we're going to be drawing. So the first step here is to cut away some interesting shapes. I can leave angular shapes if I want, or I can cut more horizontals and verticals. It's kind of up to you. I'm going to start by creating a little space that maybe cuts out some diagonals, because diagonals show movement. And what I may do to create some interest here is do the same thing on the opposite side. I don't want to cut too far in to cut too much off, but I'm trying to create something that I can react to later. Okay, so I could leave this like this and just glue it down like that. So that might be all you want to do, and then you're going to draw in here. Or you can play around with it even more. It's really up to you. So you could leave it like this and start to draw into your and start moving on to your next step, or you could play around with cutting more out. It's really up to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut into it. I'm not going to cut it apart. I'm just going to kind of play a little bit here. And one of the tricks with scissors that I've taught like younger kids a lot, if you haven't played with scissors much, which a lot of us end up working on a computer a lot, so we don't work with scissors very much. But instead of cutting all the way like that, you can just kind of cut and then move your hands that way. So when I'm cutting especially organic lines that are curving, one of the things I'll do is not close the scissors all the way. Just kind of take, because I want this to actually get bigger and then come in smaller. One of the things that Henri Matisse does is he varies the size of his line. But notice how I'm not closing my scissors all the way. I'm just closing them a little. If I don't cut a shape out, if I just cut a line, I'm not going to be able to see the difference. The lines, when I glue them down, are going to be touching. So what I mean by that is, let's say I want to cut a shape that's like that, and I don't want to cut too much out. Again, I want to draw in here. But let's say I cut a shape that mirrors this one maybe and kind of flips around on it a little bit. So it's a kind of almost like a yin and yang symbol. If I do that and then glue this down, you're not going to be able to see the line. So what you have to do is you have to cut off a little bit of extra. And you've got to decide, do you want to just cut off a parallel line of extra? Or do you want to play around a little bit and make it go thinner and thicker? That could create a little bit more interest in your work. I think I'm going to cut on this side up here. And it is tricky, and you're just going to have to go really slow. Okay, that's one example of how you can cut out your piece. You could just leave your piece in horizontal and verticals, but I would not keep them all the same size. So what I might do is something like this. So if you want your picture to have a lot of movement with it, you can incorporate organics. Or if you're wanting a little bit more stability, you might want to work with horizontals and verticals, which I'll show you those in a second. And I'm going to leave this section kind of big. Create those. So I might glue that down in that pattern. Okay, and I want to leave a border around the outer part. I'm going to cut a section out of the middle of this. And to do that, I'm going to fold it like that. And I want it to be like a little window in. Be careful here. And I don't want my paper to tear. Okay, so I like that. That way I can draw inside here. And I can put those closer and they can get bigger as they go. And glue that down in that pattern, and then I can have different things drawn. And then this one I'm going to make very small at the top. And I could leave it like that and draw here. What I might do though is do this and glue it down and then draw here. Or move it down a little bit and then draw in these two sections. You could leave it that way and draw as well, so it looks like a window.